So my talk tonight, I had an idea of what I wanted to talk about going into today, but then something else flew into my brain, and here we are. We're going to talk about this instead. And Tanya asked me a great question this morning before classes. The talk is not really about your question, but you asked, what was your question? What's the difference between writing and communicating? And my answer was very basic and simple. The difference between writing and communicating is like if I'm writing, I can do that just for myself, but if I'm communicating, I've got to kind of write for other people. It's the same thing with talking. Sometimes I'm up here just talking for myself. I like to hear myself talk, and I'm just saying things that I like to hear, but I'm going to do my best tonight to communicate and be doing this for you guys. And this is all about, if you're communicating, you're getting into somebody else's world, and you're saying things in a way and using the words that are actually going to make a difference for them. So do that if you're writing. Figure it out. I was talking to Tai Chi, I think, and I don't remember how this came up. What was I talking about? Yeah, that's right. So in Tai Chi today, we had a pitifully small class. It was like 4 people in class. 3 of the 4 are back tonight. Oh, you were sleeping, that's right. No, only 2 of you guys are back tonight. So I was making fun of all the people who didn't show up. I said, because it rained this morning. And in Los Angeles, we don't understand weather. We don't get it. So we're in for, a weird future with all this climate change. It's raining now. And it rained this morning, and I'm positive that at least one person that normally would have shown up to class looked outside, saw that it was raining or that it just had rained, and they went, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm just going to stay home. Or, keep sleeping, I guess, whatever. And this got me out on a kick. So, on some level, human beings are very resilient. We are incredibly strong and powerful creatures. And, the fact that we are alive and thriving in this world and have created all of this that is our reality is testament to that. The fact that we haven't killed ourselves off yet is kind of amazing. And that's on one hand. On the other hand, we are weak and we are fragile. We're not even made out of glass. We're like that fake glass that they use in movies where it's like sugar. It's like you just poke it and it crumbles. That's us sometimes. And today in Tai Chi, people not showing up because of the rain or whatever the reason is an example of that. Sometimes our best intentions are derailed with the tiniest bit, just a whiff of weather or, a hangnail or whatever it is. I didn't get enough sleep last night. And this is what it is to be human. I'm not judging or faulting anybody, but I'm saying that I'm about to give a whole talk about this. So there is another way. When we are met with adversity, and adversity for us is a rainy day, but it could be anything. It could be something very serious. It could be injuries that go on for years. It could be something really serious going on in our personal lives or in our professional lives, and it's all some form of adversity that we have the choice to either kind of crumble in the face of or step up and deal with it. And I was joking today about this study that I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of. They used marshmallows sometimes, they used cookies sometimes. I'm going to use cookies because I don't care that much about marshmallows. So there was this study about delayed gratification. And as an aside, if you start to type in delayed gratification cookie, like looking for the cookie study, the first thing that will come up is delayed gratification cookie monster, which is a video that they did on Sesame Street with who's the actor who played Loki? Tom Middleton? Is that the guy? None of you guys watch these movies. Yes, you're the only one who knows what I'm talking about. So it did this really cute video about Cookie Monster having delayed gratification and then getting a whole plate of cookies. But this study was they took kids and they put them in a room and they put a cookie on the plate in front of them and they said, if you don't eat this cookie, I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you more cookies. And to a kid, the only thing that's better than one cookie is multiple cookies. And they did this study, and some of the kids just ate the cookie as soon as the person left the room, and some of the kids waited and waited, and they came back and they got more cookies. And there were problems with this study. I did some research on it today, and there were, some things that they didn't control for, including like economic factors and all this stuff. But let's just say that it was a great study and it got to exactly what they were trying to get to. So they kept track of these kids, and the kids who were great at delayed gratification ended up doing really well in life. They ended up having better SAT test scores and did better in school. They had better body mass index. They were better, I'm assuming, at work and whatever else. And the kids who just ate the cookie right away sucked at life. They just didn't do as well in school. They had a harder time, whatever. And so my joke was that everyone who showed up today for Tai Chi did really well at that delayed gratification test, because you wake up on a day where you just feel like going back to sleep, or you just feel like staying at home, or whatever else it is. If you just give in to that feeling that says, I got to eat this cookie now, then you're going to have a hard time showing up in the way that you want to in life in a lot of different areas. I'm just going to say this now because Leah wasn't here this morning, but you're normally here all the time. So I'm going to keep talking about you as if you're one of the great people, even though you didn't show up today. So I can stop having to look at you every time I say this. So this is something that I think on some level we're born with. Some of it is innate, and some of it is what we are taught, and some of it is what we are kind of conditioned through our lives and through our upbringing and all that. But the truth of the matter is that some of us are just really great at dealing with that, whether it's delayed gratification or it's being able to just get out of the house even though you don't feel like it today. When we are given this opportunity, for some of us it's very natural. And I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to the people now who it's not natural for. And I always say, because I think that this was true, but it may not have been, I always say that I was one of those kids who had great delayed gratification. I was always really good at holding on for the next thing. And that, given the way that I was in school and the way that I was as a kid, it's probably not actually true, because I was a mess at school. I never did my homework. I never, I would just get home and I would eat a cookie if it was right there, and I would just sit myself in front of the TV and just veg out, and that was it. That was my life. But now as an adult, after having done martial arts, I'm a totally different person. And I think that this is because certain things are very important to me. And this is where I came up with the idea of the talk being named Find Your Cookie. Because for me, it wouldn't have mattered if it was a marshmallow. If they put a marshmallow in front of me, I would have just ignored it, because eating a plain marshmallow is bizarre. Who wants that? If you put it in a s'more or something else, that's something completely different. But a cookie, a delicious cookie, and for me, it's a peanut butter cookie. And it could be a peanut butter cookie with chocolate chips, or it could be a peanut butter cookie with some other kind of, extra something. But a truly delicious cookie is something that it's worth waiting until you can get more of it. And this is part of it that I think nobody really thinks about in terms of this study, because it almost seems like the more enticing the thing is, the more likely that kid is to just snag it. But I think it's the other way around. If you see something and it's not that important to you, you might just, in this case, if it's a cookie, you might just eat it. It might go the other way. If martial arts were not that important to you, you could just take a day off whenever you aren't feeling it. You could, often people at the first sign of difficulty just quit. But if it's something that's really important to you, like a really amazing cookie or martial arts, then you might get really excited about it in the beginning. You might be all over it, but you might also have the wherewithal to kind of stick it out for the long run. In the long run, what you're going to get is a massive plate full of cookies worth of martial arts. What you're going to get, if you are able to get past that initial discomfort, that initial desire to quit, that initial just I don't feel like leaving the house today, is worth so much. And those of you guys who don't care about cookies or martial arts, replace this with something else that does matter to you. Because if there's something that is really worth, delayed gratification for, if there's something that's really worth going beyond, then you'll do that. Then you will deal with whatever you need to deal with. Whatever comes up in your life and you need to get past it, you will. So finding your cookie, like for me, finding martial arts, that was the first thing that really made me good at delayed gratification. Or in the case of martial arts, it was delayed gratification, because it's like in the beginning I sucked just like everybody else, and I had to push through that initial state. But it was also like having to get past that initial part that is no good to get to the part that is really great. If you're trying to do something that you don't care about, if you don't care about martial arts, then you're not going to pour anything into it. If you don't care about meditation, if you don't care about your mental well-being, if you don't care about something deep and impactful like that, then you're not going to get through what you need to get through to actually get something real and meaningful out of it. So you might sit and meditate the first time, and it doesn't really do anything for you. You sit and you just kind of hurt a little bit and your mind was wandering, and as many people do when they start meditating, they just decide, this isn't really doing it for me. I'm not going to do that anymore. And I've talked to many people. I've been meditating every year for 20 years, and every day for 20 years. And I've talked to so many people who hear that and they go, "Oh my God, I tried meditating once. It was really hard." And then what? "Oh, I didn't try again. That's it." And I say, are you serious? You know why millions of people around the world meditate all the time? Yeah. I don't know. I just sit there and I think, and it's really hard, and so I don't do it. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said, "I've been trying to meditate every day. I've been trying to meditate for 1 minute, and I haven't done it yet. Have not sat down to do it. Not even I couldn't get through the minute. I just didn't sit down to do it." And that seems totally absurd to me, but that's, I think, what most people's experience is with meditation. Even just sitting down to do it, that is honestly the hardest part. And once you really get into a strong meditation practice, you recognize this. I guess most of the battle is just getting yourself to sit. But you had to get through a lot to get to that point. For most people, when they first start, I sit and I can just feel my insanity. I can feel all the thoughts rattling around in my head, and this is not a comfortable place for me to be. So we get through that initial part, and then we get to the point where now, okay, all I got to do is get myself to sit, and I'm gold. I can sit for 10 minutes, I can sit for a half an hour, however long I need to. It's great. This is something that I think martial arts teaches especially well. But the truth is, it could be really anything that we feel really challenged by. And for me, it works so well because martial arts is it has both things. It is incredibly challenging, difficult. Even to this day, there's plenty that I still feel that I need to make so much progress on, yet I still feel really excited to do it. It's still incredibly enjoyable for me. You got to find something that's like that. And if you can find something that you're willing to wade through the muck for, and something that you know, when I get to the other side of that initial discomfort, that is going to be so worth it. It's going to be a whole plate of cookies, or it's going to be like martial arts, or it's going to be like whatever. Then that thing is transformative. This changes our life. Because for me, once I was able to do that with martial arts, then I was able to do that with anything. I went from doing terribly in school to getting straight A's, transferring to a really wonderful college that was almost impossible to get into. And that was no way that was in my future when I was a kid, when I was in high school, not caring about any of this stuff. But when we realize that we can do it in any one thing, then we can start to carry that out into a lot of different areas. Steve Brown used to say, master one thing, master all things. And this process of being able to, have delayed gratification, or being able to get beyond, is something that when we learn it, it becomes kind of automatic. It becomes really easy for us. And so this is what is so great about constantly challenging ourselves. This is what's so great about finding something that we can really sink our teeth into, because it becomes automatic, and then all of this other stuff that before you could not be interested less in just suddenly becomes another opportunity to practice the same kind of skill. And it's like, for me, you guys have heard me talk about how I try to take martial arts out into the rest of my life, but it's not actually like that. It's more like martial arts because I have obsessed about it. Martial arts becomes my life, and then everything else that I encounter, I kind of look at through the lens of martial arts, or I cram it into martial arts. And so I say, this other thing that I'm terrible at, that I don't like doing, is a great opportunity for me to practice martial arts. It's a great opportunity for me to practice that mental discipline. It's a great opportunity for me to practice that delayed gratification. And once I started to get in that habit, it is like the world is just a fundamentally different place. Whereas before, everything is like a challenge. Everything is something to fight against. Everything is something that I have to kind of drag myself through. Now everything is an opportunity. And I talk about this in class all the time. Martial arts teaches us to view problems as opportunities. And when we can see the world in this way, it becomes fun. It becomes an exciting challenge. Every single time something is in our way, now we start to get creative with it, and we start to see okay, how can I find my way through this? I was talking about this also in Tai Chi today, because human beings are on some level fundamentally lazy, but it's about efficiency. Obviously we haven't evolved to just be lazy because sitting around all day gets us anywhere. We've evolved to be able to expand in a way that it is the most efficient. Well, the way that we use our energy, the way that we spend our time, is all about efficiency. And if we don't use this correctly, it can show up as what seems very efficient to me right now is to sit on the couch and watch TV, because I don't have to use any energy at all. I don't even have to use my mental energy. It takes less mental energy to sit and veg out in front of the TV than it does to just sit and do nothing, because then my brain has to entertain me. But if we get really good at that, if we recognize, the true way to really be efficient with our time and with our effort, then we start to recognize, wait a minute, if I can work hard at this, for example, at meditation, then my mind will have so much more power and focus and discipline, so that then I will actually be able to be more efficient at everything else that I do. But that's like a very mature kind of next level way of looking at it that doesn't come very naturally to most of us. So you have to have it kind of, you have to be smacked across the face with it sometimes. It's got to be very clear and obvious through our experience. So then we start to see, like, by expending this energy today, I have something much greater and more powerful that I can do tomorrow. And that's like when I extend my energy of just sitting here and not eating this cookie here. I'm going to have this whole plate full of cookies in just 5 minutes. Or if I go in and practice martial arts today, especially on the days that I don't feel like doing it, then that mental strife that I'm putting myself through today, it pays those dividends like 10, 20, 100-fold in the future. Because I've put myself through it now. That means the next day when I wake up and I don't feel like it, it's a non-issue, because I've already been through that. I've done it. And, when it's something that's less fun, it's something that is less important to me than martial arts, I've still been through it. I've exercised my mind in that way. And so now when it comes time to do it for the next thing that I really don't want to do because it's not fun and I don't feel like doing it, but I know on some level it is important for me, it's healthy for me, I'm just able to do it. That's it. So I think that the main thrust, or at least the way that I named this talk, the main thrust that you want to go with here is, like, find something that is like that for you. And I know for a lot of us in this room, it's martial arts, it's meditation, it's Tai Chi, it's something like that. But maybe it's not, or maybe you guys are listening out there and you've never done martial arts, you don't know what I'm talking about, but you get the general idea. You got to find your cookie. Find that thing that is that balance between being a challenge and being yet like so enticing that I cannot imagine not doing it. And it's got to be like a really delicious cookie. It's got to be like the juice has to be worth the squeeze. And when you find something like that for you, and you go through that process of like honing yourself through that, then I'm not saying that the rest of life becomes easy, because for me it's still not easy, but it is easier. And that process is just automatic. Now I wake up and I will tell you guys, there are plenty of days where I don't feel like showing up and teaching. When I say plenty of days, I mean like every once in a while. And that feeling for me lasts however long it lasts. It's usually a couple of seconds. It's when I'm still in bed and I open my eyes, and on those rare days where I don't just jump right out of bed with a smile on my face, I go, ugh, I gotta get out of bed and do that. And it could have been anything. It could have been martial arts. It could have been, spending time with my family or whatever. I don't feel like doing it today. All right, that lasts for X number of seconds. Or some days I'm just in that funk. I'm just not feeling it for the entire day. But it just doesn't stop me anymore, because I've done it. I've gone through it. And whatever that is for you, it's so important to find it, because life is difficult. Life is tough. There are plenty of opportunities to wake up and not feel like doing what you're going to do. And there are plenty of days where you just have to kind of drag yourself through it the whole time. But at the end of the day, if the thing that you are dragging yourself through is really going to make the difference, then you're just kind of, you are lighting a fire under your butt in a way that is going to be transformative. So find that thing, whatever that thing is, and get to work at it. And especially love those days where you feel like staying in bed. Love those days where something hurts a little bit more than you would like it to. Love those days where you would just rather do something else. It would just be so much easier to just sit on the couch. And on those days especially, that's when you got to step up and do it. And an entire mountain of cookies waits for you at the other end of that. That's what we're going to do right now. Meditation on some level is like, it would be so easy for me to just sit and think, but I'm going to have a little bit more discipline, and when my mind wanders and I start to think, I'm going to come right back to this moment, to this breath, which sometimes seems very difficult and like the least exciting, least enticing thing that you can do because the breath is so boring, because my mind is going crazy, yet we do it. And down the road, you can do anything with your mind. So sit comfortably.